The Los Angeles Times writes, I can recall only a few outbreaks of such collective insanity as these tea parties in recent years. There was a time in the mid-'90s when a 1995 video proving Bill Clinton was some sort of serial killer went viral. Yes, and this host spoke out against it. And then a few years back, there was the chilling televised midnight seance from the floor of the U.S. Congress aimed at reviving the long brain-dead Terry Schiavo. I never even heard of that. Has anybody in this audience even heard of that? And now this. Whip out your Lipton and don your tinfoil hat and join the protest again against what exactly? There's no belittling here. If you believe in what the founders believed, you should wear a tinfoil hat. The original Boston Tea Party was caffeinated by very simple injustice. American colonists refused to be taxed by a government that lacked any popular representation. That was remedied a few years later in a historic struggle that stretched from Concord to Yorktown. So, that's a great Wikipedia reference there, though, isn't it? So, if you'll excuse the mixed metaphor, what's the beef behind today's protests? The Obama administration is cutting taxes for all, except the richest of Americans. Really? That's interesting. Talk to smokers. But again, let's not get weighted down in taxes. If you want to have a conversation about taxes, as I have at least said, it's not time for the tea parties because the taxes haven't come yet. We're still in the spending phase. Reduced withholding is already showing up in millions of paychecks. Then again, this rash of tea parties, being organized not only by pseudo-journalists. I'm not a pseudo-journalist. The San Francisco Chronicle, the editor or publisher, said that I was a journalist. I reject that. I'm not a journalist. The rash of tea parties being organized at Fox News with Glenn Beck, Neil Cavuto, and Sean Hannity actively stoking the flames, but also by FreedomWorks, a conservative lobbying outfit headed by former House Majority Leader Dick Armey. I suppose it was Armey's constitutional, if morally dubious privilege to have built an entire political career out of defending the wealthy. There are many common folks actually going to dump Earl Grey into Santa Monica Bay because they're outraged, simply infuriated by the marginal tax rate of 3% for millionaires. They're asking, everybody who is going today is just in Dick Armey's army. That's it. That's it. I don't even know about Dick Armey's army. I have no idea about it. Everyone I have talked to that is running a tea party is an average person, which you can't say about the organized protest in front of AIG, organized by the unions. The organized protest where they're busing people in to go protest people's homes, organized by Acorn and the unions. Another bothersome detail. The bailouts were also initiated by Bush. No kidding! It's almost like we had this outrage when Bush was in office. They don't have any idea at all what these things are about. Well, they'll never report this because they've got to belittle it. They've got to make us all crazy and say, is that a black helicopter? They have to do that. They cannot report on the on the facts. It's amazing to me that I have transcripts available that I was on CNN for 2 years, saying the same things about George W. Bush. And yet no story has ever reported that. No story has reported how I've taken down the GOP just in the last 8 weeks while I was on Fox News. Nobody's reported that. Interesting, isn't it? Because the truth doesn't work for them. They must paint me, you, the Tea Parties, everybody into crazy extremists working for Dick Armey. Well, they're not going to print it, but I want to clearly state what these Tea Parties are about. Not for them, but for you and me. So you can say, yeah, you know what, Glenn, I agree with those, but I've got a couple to add on my own. What are the Tea Parties really all about? I'll share it here in just a second. So what are these tea parties really about? The media can't seem to get their arms around it. I know it's pretty tough, so let me speak slowly to them. It's about spending. It's not about taxing yet. It's about spending. Spending too much. To be specific, write this down. The idea that anyone is too big to fail. It is anti-American. And this is crazy. Does Glenn Beck even know that George Bush did that? Yes, I know. And I was saying it when George Bush was in office. America has always been for the underdog. Where are the liberals? Where is the left that is against corporate welfare? Join the right. We're against corporate welfare. This is what the Tea Party is about. It's about putting my family, my children, under $12.8 trillion in debt. All it took was 2 presidents and 6 months. The federal deficit is $11 trillion. The new debt on a separate set of books between cash and liabilities now, in addition to the 11, is $12.8 trillion. That's kind of the idea that I'm going to go out and stand in a crowd of people today just for that one. It's about the idea that we're all socialists now. No, we're not. There seems to be a lot of people that aren't socialists. It's about the idea that government can force companies, banks, states to take money and the strings that are attached to it that they don't want, that they reject. It's about power. It's about too much power going to federal government. It's about corruption. It's about too much corruption in both parties. It's about one party telling us we're against corruption and we'll solve it. Then they get in and they're worse. And then the next party says, yeah, well, see, we're going to be the most ethical ever. And they're worse than the last. It's about corruption. It's about the rule of law. That no one is above the law. If you're here legally or illegally, it applies. You're never too rich. You're never too powerful. Sorry, you broke the law. It's about if you write the tax code, you should know how to pay your taxes. It's about a republic, not mob rule. It's about the concept of free speech. We've been called insane, lunatics, extremists, killers, just for speaking out. There's a chill wind blowing. It's about the years of lies from both parties. A Republican Party that claims to be for small government but gives us Medicare Part D that now is $17 trillion in unfunded liabilities. It's about hypocrisies. Not one damn person in Washington is speaking out about hypocrisy. And it's about the media getting into bed with one party so far left that it can't even begin to see that we're Americans, not extremists. We're moms and dads who happen to believe in the Constitution and the republic called America. End of story. Print.